Roy presented what his master, Arthur Louis Zietz, had been seeking for a long time, a robot maid named Marie. Given she in fact looked very human, he couldn't believe Roy had finally managed to pull it off. The Zietz Corporation was #1 in the country for a reason. Arthur saw nothing to be impossible for the business he'd inherit someday. Before he could get a closer look at Marie, a clock suddenly exploded. However, she did not react, and soon after, the cleaning lady who had switched out the clock was escorted for interrogation, all while pleading that she was ordered to do it. Then immediately, Arthur ordered Roy to have someone apprehend the person watching him from the roof of a faraway building and take care of the listening device under the desk. Roy would later come back with a parcel and bouquet that arrived for his master, soon finding out they were rigged with danger as well. Arthur knew people let their greed get the better of them. People attempted to hurt, rob, and swindle others without a second thought. So the only thing he trusted were emotionless, inanimate objects. Arthur was the heir to a corporate empire and an illegitimate child. Resentful relatives have attempted to kidnap, imprison, poison, and assassinate him for so long, he's developed extreme misanthropy. And the thing he hated most was people who lie. When someone lied to him, he'd use every means at his disposal to end their lives socially. Even with all the chaos happening on her first day here, the robot maid Marie was actually a champion martial arts prodigy who never let it show on her face what strenuous feats she performed or excruciating blows she took. She was known as Marie the Robot Evans. She didn't know what to do, having taken this side job because they promised to take on her parents' debt for her. But no one said anything about this. She thought this was bad, because no matter how robotic she seemed, Arthur was bound to catch on to her. But staring at her close, he gushed over her roboticness, as if she were straight out of a light novel. When she turned to say she'd start cleaning, he thought she even sounded like a real girl. He grabbed her hands, asking if he could just call her Marie directly, and she couldn't believe this was really the same guy from a minute ago. Later, Roy reminded Marie that they'd put her through school, as long as she kept Arthur safe. Meanwhile, she was stuffing her face, since she could only eat when their master was in the shower. She quickly bolted off with Roy's sandwich too, and to himself, he uttered she needed to be careful, because if Arthur found out she was human, then they'd both be dead. When the chauffeur arrived, Arthur scolded him for being late by 0.089 seconds, saying no one trusts those who couldn't keep a schedule. Riding on their way, Arthur told Marie he had a university lecture to attend to after school. He was learning to be a leader, and afterwards, he'd be dining with the son of one of his business partners. The son in question had abysmal table manners, so much to the point Arthur felt he might snap and stab him to death with his knife. That's a bit much, isn't it? However, Marie thought he was at least nice to her. He suddenly grabbed her hand, and with a flushed face, asked her to pretend to be human and come to school with him. His constant personality change was giving her whiplash. She couldn't believe they were letting her go to such a fancy school. Staring at a trophy case, she was surprised to see all of them belonged to her master. And the fact that he was part of the student council meant he must be a model student. Suddenly, some guys bumped into her, and when she emotionlessly apologized, they thought she didn't sound sorry and sounded a lot like a robot. She's gotten used to people talking about her like this a long time ago. Even her mom did, having said that even when she yelled or praised Marie, Marie acted the same either way. Her mother didn't know how Marie turned out this way. Arthur then appeared, asking the boy if they had a problem with his maid, and they made a run for it. When she thanked him, he patted her head, telling her that her unchanging expression was part of her charm. This touched her. No one had ever said that before to her. After school, Arthur met with his older stepbrother, Maynard, or in other words, someone who wanted him dead. The two spoke incredibly friendly and familial towards each other, while on the inside, they were much more vicious. Maynard didn't understand why their father chose a sarcastic prick like Arthur to be heir, and he was upset because if Arthur hadn't come along, he'd have been the next head of the Zietz. While Arthur understood Maynard lacked class from every pore of his body, the dueling of their inner monologues was quite the sight to behold from Roy's point of view. However, Marie couldn't tell, figuring with all the smiling, the two brothers loved each other. With Maynard taking a step outside for a break, he clicked his tongue, uttering that his latest hitman failed like the rest. He'd get jump scared with Marie pointing out where the bathroom was. He scolded her for scaring him, but she'd apologize and managed to somehow convince him she was a robot too. Robot or not, he couldn't believe his brother was going around with a maid who couldn't even fake a smile. So she offered to smile, and began pulling her lips in that expression. It was so scary and uncanny, he ran off. That evening, Arthur stared at the fountain outside and thought back to when as a child, he had resolved to succeed his father. Marie came in to serve tea, and she was a little intimidated over his grouchy look. He'd then blush as he asked to rest his head on her lap. And oh my, he'd call it rock hard and say that he could tell she was made of metal, when actually it was her muscle, of course. He expressed not having felt peace for a while now. He felt no one was on his side. So, he made up his mind to live without anyone's help. His father chose him because he was special, so he had to stand strong even if he stood alone. She then replied, "I bid you rely on me. I am always on your side, sir." His eyes widened, and he'd soon close them as he thanked her. He showed her that he was just a normal boy when they were alone together. She wanted to protect him the same way he came to her defense, but felt bad that she was lying to him too. The next day, when Arthur was getting picked up for school, Roy noticed the chauffeur was a little early this time. After they drove off, his actual vehicle would come by. Oh no, the first car was a decoy. Roy tried telling Marie to call the police, but she was already gone, sprinting off after the getaway car that Arthur was kidnapped in. Maynard was pretty cocky as he uttered that Arthur's surly robot maid disrespecting him was the last straw. Maynard planned to kill Arthur today, but Arthur had heard that saying 168 times already. The car would shake, and Arthur opened his eyes to see Marie on the windshield. The vehicle managed to fling her off, but she'd soon make haste in the abandoned building where Arthur was tied up. He was not happy with the idea that Marie might be hurt. While Maynard flaunted about this being Arthur's last moments, a recording played containing clear voice evidence of Maynard saying this would be the day Arthur would die. Arthur had a spy gadget on him that had been recording every detail since the kidnapping began, and it was already saved to the cloud and being uploaded to social media. Maynard bolted off to go deal with it, meaning it was just Arthur and the thugs. And in this short time, Marie would dispatch them quickly using her martial arts prowess, freeing Arthur shortly after. One of the thugs' cigarettes seemed to hit some spilled oil, and now they had trouble with the building on fire. Arthur began coughing really badly. Marie noticed she could get him out through one of the windows if she lifted him up, but he was worried about her. He didn't want to leave her behind. She knew this was the only way though. She couldn't let him die. She tried thinking of ways to get him to give up on her, and considered telling him that she was human, but ultimately, she chose to tell him she really enjoyed spending time with him, that he meant a lot to her, and to not worry because her body was made of durable metals. She lifted him out, and she soon fell to the floor, knowing at the end of it all, she still lied to him. She'd wake up in a bed where Arthur called her name constantly. He was worried she was taking so long to reboot and thought she might have been broken. He was about to ask if she was actually human, and Roy got so worried. But then Arthur said never mind, and assumed the human-like smile he saw on her face was due to his brain being starved for oxygen. He knew falling in love with a machine was worse than pointless, but it wouldn't matter if she was human anyway, since he could never love another human. Who doesn't hype this video and subscribe to my channel? Because here at my Shoujo Weekly, I might be a robot the way I'm working myself to death, but that's okay, because as long as you enjoy yourself watching the latest here on the shoujo genre, it's all worth it to me. Looking for more to watch after this? I have tons of fun stories in the completed series playlist. You should check it out after this video, and the more you watch, the more I get to keep making. So come on, hit that subscribe, I'll be your guy. The servants were decorating for a garden party. Arthur would scold one of them for not having the chairs prepared, and he fired the guy for lying that it had been set up in the first place. He detested lies as much as he detested people. Arthur would praise Marie as the pride of the Zates Corporation, telling everyone to learn from her example. When the guests arrived, the garden was filled with rich socialites as far as the eye could see. Of course, Marie expected as much from a Zates garden party. Arthur explained to her that the party was vital. His father left hosting it in his hands while he was away on business. Marie then assured him he could count on her to take out anyone suspicious. Arthur, however, had a more important job for her, which was to pick out green peppers for him, and she agreed to remove them all from the party food, so no one would find it. Arthur's Uncle Carl and Aunt Charlotte would then come to greet him. Marie noticed their incredible aura, and wondered why Arthur seemed friendly with him. Roy then let her know these relatives were on her side. Seeing Arthur's demeanor, Charlotte could tell something good had happened to him. She was itching to find out what. He was no match for her keen eyes. He brought up how the full might of the Zates Corporation had gone into his robot maid, Marie. Charlotte noticed Marie's exquisite detail, with her having smooth skin and even pores. She could hardly believe Marie was a robot. All the while, Marie was panicking on the inside, fearing Charlotte was onto her. Roy dragged Marie off to clear out the plates the guests had used. She stacked so many plates perfectly on both hands, Carl was impressed. Next up, she moved a tray of glasses. A cat tried jumping on the tray, but Marie would catch the cat midair and save the glasses from shattering. As another maid was bringing the salad servings, she grabbed all the green peppers so fast, the maid never noticed. And even when an intruder snuck in, she struck him down with one hit. Suspecting there might be other intruders, she went into the house to check around. Walking through the hallway, someone suddenly appeared behind her, but it turned out to be Arthur. Afterwards, he would lay on her lap, exhausted from hosting his guests all day. Marie noticed he was feeling down. She felt this was the most she could do for him, but still wanted to repay him in any possible way. Arthur suddenly grabbed her hand and drew her in close, thanking her. Marie then decided to return to the party. He wanted her to stay with him a bit longer, but she told him she was currently configured to prioritize party-related tasks. Unbeknownst to him, Charlotte was close by, wondering if Marie was truly a robot. Meanwhile, Marie wondered why her heart suddenly started pounding back in the room with Arthur. Roy ordered her to serve water to some guests, and in the process, she accidentally broke a glass and splashed water on him. Then, with her emotionless expression, she apologized. Marie panicked, thinking she would cause more problems for Arthur if she kept this up. She would catch an intruder setting up explosives to blow up Arthur, and without delay, she apprehended him and crushed the detonation switch. She then threw him in the bushes, causing the scenes to disrupt the party. She quickly panicked, realizing what she had done. The guests thought she had gone berserk and wanted to make a run for it. She had no idea what to do. The party was ruined, and it was all her fault. But Arthur would pick her up and come to her rescue. He apologized to the guests for the disturbance and explained that Marie took actions against the intruder who had planted a bomb. As the guests applauded Marie, Charlotte hoped she'd be the cure to Arthur's misanthropy. It turned out Maynard had orchestrated the bomb planting, and he was on a rooftop watching how the scene unfolded. He cursed Marie for ruining his plans and swore to definitely get Arthur before slipping off the roof. That night, Marie would appear in a lovely dress Arthur bought for her. With the party over, they could finally be alone. He wanted them to enjoy this moment together. She apologized for ruining the party, but Arthur commended her for doing her best all day and thanked her. Marie thought he was a wonderful master and wished she could work with him forever. Since Marie was supposedly a robot, he felt she didn't need to eat and asked what fuel she ran on, which caught her off guard. She nervously answered that it was AA batteries. Obviously not. She panicked with cold sweat dripping all over. But right now, she looked like a human girl to him. He suddenly kissed her forehead, and Marie responded by pushing him and running away. She feared the worst, thinking Arthur definitely knew she was human. The following day, Marie didn't know how to face her master, and wondered if she could blame her actions on a system malfunction. While serving Arthur breakfast, he greeted her with a cheerful smile. She pondered if yesterday didn't faze him at all. All the while, Arthur was shocked she didn't reply good morning back to him. He asked her what was wrong, noting she didn't seem like her usual self. Marie and Roy panicked. She tried to calm herself down, but acting rattled only made it more suspicious. Arthur wanted to ask if she was human, but he decided he would find out by replicating the events of last night. However, a bee flying around the room distracted them. They tried to grab it at the same time, causing them to lean in closer to each other. Marie quickly backed away, trying her best not to lose her cool. Arthur would then tell her that he'd like to have his coffee in the study. While she served him, he stared at her with suspicious eyes. Even while vacuuming the house, he suddenly appeared next to her, offering to help her with the vacuum. Marie knew he was trying to catch her off her game and get proof, so she needed to act more robotic than usual. Marie would walk robotically into a wall as she tried to convince Arthur. In the kitchen, she pretended to be oiling her screws. That's when Roy suddenly decided as of today, she was fired as a maid. Since Arthur had been eyeing her with suspicion, he felt it was only a matter of time until the master learned the truth. Still, Roy assured Marie she would be provided for, but just far, far away from here. He felt Arthur would be really hurt if he learned the truth, and thought it was probably hard for Marie to keep up the lies. Roy had a plan. An upgraded maid robot then walked into Arthur's study, introducing herself as Marie 2. And in a flash, it killed a fly in the room, proving it was far superior. Roy explained Marie 2 was fitted with the utmost lethal capabilities, and told Arthur no maid was more fit to serve him. But Arthur would question that in his mind. At the same time, Marie packed her things and left. Roy had arranged a car and told her to leave quickly before Arthur would spot her. Marie decided she would wash the maid uniform and return it. Though Roy wanted her to keep it as a memento, she refused because it would bring back too many memories. She really wished she could have spent more time at Arthur's side. Arthur would then burst through the door, asking Marie to tell him what she'd been hiding. She answered she believed he didn't need her anymore, now that he had a robot maid far superior to her. Arthur admitted Marie 2 was more capable. Oh my gosh. But he couldn't be satisfied with just any robot maid. Marie 2 then rolled out the door and suddenly detected Marie as a high-level threat. Marie asked the guys to stand back, and the two mates began to battle it out. As Marie 2 was about to finish off Marie, Arthur dived in to protect her, causing Marie 2 to strike his shoulder. Marie was angered now. A piece of junk that hurt her master had no right to be his maid. She quickly smashed the robot to pieces. In the end, Arthur thought Marie was simply malfunctioning and assumed it was why she had been acting strangely. He believed she asked Roy to dispatch Marie 2 so she could hide it. Arthur then offered to pay as much as it would take for her maintenance. Marie then let him know she was fixed. He really would buy anything when it came to her. Arthur would then lift her up in his arms, asking her to always be with him, and she too wanted to stay with him forever. Roy would welcome Marie back to work again, because despite everything, he hadn't seen the young master smile like she made him in ages. Marie promised to work harder than ever to make sure the truth never gets out. Marie, too, then walked into the kitchen. With upgraded hardware and software, Roy wanted the two of them to work together in protecting Arthur. Some assassins who were pretending to be cleaners planned to poison Arthur with 10 times the lethal dose. At that moment, Marie and Marie 2 walked in on them and beat them up, and they tried to make a run for it. But Marie 2 captured them with nets. Maynard ended up frustrated, as he couldn't find a competent assassin. To Arthur, humans were foolish creatures. Robots were more trustworthy, and Marie was all he needed. He gave Marie her favorite batteries, and asked how she recharged herself with them. He was curious to see. But Marie was human, and if he found out, she'd be dead. So she stuck the battery into her mouth. Seeing this, Roy concluded they were doomed, but Arthur found it adorable. He'd believe anything. Afterwards, Arthur confronted Roy about the lax home security, and Roy blamed it on the high employee turnover. After all, Arthur did fire people at the drop of a hat. Roy advised him to forget work and relax for a bit, mentioning that his father was keen to relaxing. With women, that is. Arthur turned his attention to Marie, believing she must have a girlfriend mode, and wanted to see if he could make good use of it. They'd go to town together, and Marie was pressured to do something girlfriendy. So, she told her master that she loved him to bits. Arthur was flush. He had no idea girlfriend mode would go that far, but calling him master wouldn't cut it for a date. He told her to refer to him as Arthur, and Marie replied with, "Yes, sir." He told her to cut that out as well. When Marie was a fighter, her instructor had told her to copy the strong if she wanted to improve. If she was going to pull off girlfriend mode, she'd have to try her best to imitate other couples. She asked Arthur if he wanted to go for tea after seeing a girl ask her man the same thing. She suggested the same tea shop, and when the couple hugged each other, Marie did the same, nearly crushing Arthur's bones. In the cafe, she copied the couple again by feeding Arthur some of her ice cream. He was completely flush, and when returning the favor, he fed Marie another battery. The people around were shocked, calling it a new form of abuse. They also noticed Marie looked devoid of all feelings. Marie was following in the footsteps of the couple, but she couldn't understand how they were so much more romantic. Arthur thought about going on a boat ride as they walked through the park, but Marie reminded him that water was fatal to robots. In reality, though, she couldn't swim to save her life. Arthur became scared because if she broke down, Roy would haul her off. Seeing the girl in front of her give her boyfriend a present, Marie saw this as a chance to turn things around, but definitely not like how the couple kissed. She then plucked a 4-leaf clover for Arthur, hoping it would bring some happiness to his tired heart. She quickly thought she had messed up by giving a rich guy a weed, but Arthur happily accepted, stating that even the most expensive present was worthless unless it came from the heart. He couldn't be happier. Arthur tried holding hands with her like everyone else was doing in the park, but they were not like other couples. Marie thought her master would find a wonderful girlfriend someday, because at the end of the day, they were both just playing pretend. By nighttime, they arrived at a church that Arthur had once visited with his parents. Suddenly, he asked Marie if he could kiss her. Though her face was blank, she was freaking out on the inside. Just before he could plant the kiss, someone would throw a dagger at them, but Marie quickly pushed Arthur out of the way. Seeing the assassin on top of the church roof, Marie told Arthur to wait, and she chased after the person. When she got to the roof, she confronted the man, who assumed she was Arthur's girlfriend, but Marie made it clear she was only an attendant. As their fight broke out, she noticed the assassin was strong. Arthur's voice would distract her, causing the assassin to slip behind her and confess his love. He then pushed her off the roof, and as she fell through the trees, Arthur dived in to save her. Marie apologized for letting the assassin escape. She felt guilty for messing up her girlfriend mode and bodyguard duty. Arthur then kissed her on the cheek, saying they would kiss for real next time she was in girlfriend mode, but she told him that it consumed too much energy to use too often. Heartbroken, he called Roy to pick them up. At school, she wondered just who the assassin she met the previous night was. She promised herself to kill him the next time they met. Just then, a new transfer student, Noah, was introduced to the class. And of course, it was Assassin Boy. While Noah was swarmed by all his new classmates, Marie decided to warn Arthur that the assassin had been transferred to her class. But on her way, Noah stopped her, asking if she'd come to his welcome party. They started fighting, and Noah explained while no one could tell what she was thinking, he really liked that face of hers. A face like hers was the most worth seeing twisted in pain. Marie immediately knew this guy was a psychopath. She then asked why he would come to the school, but he ignored her question, saying he had a present for her, and pulling out some documents, Marie saw this was her martial arts past that Roy had tried to erase. Noah's time and love he put into the investigation were his present to her, but Marie saw him as a creep. She wanted to know what he wanted, and he simply answered that he wanted them to get along. Arthur would interrupt them, which left Marie scared that he would find out who she really was. Noah held Marie's shoulder, teasing Arthur, saying that she liked him better. Arthur demanded he get his grubby paws off her, but Marie couldn't tell Noah to go. She instead told Arthur she wanted to befriend Noah, basically to keep an eye on him because of how much he knew. But Arthur wouldn't accept this. He challenged Noah to a fight for Marie. If Noah won, he'd get Marie, but if Arthur won, Noah would have to stop bothering them. Out of nowhere, chickens came running through the hallway as some students were chasing them. Arthur stopped a boy named Toby, asking what had happened, and Toby explained that 7 of the Zoological Research Club's chickens got loose. Upon hearing this, Noah suggested they round up the birds, and whoever caught the most would win. Arthur gladly accepted, feeling confident he would emerge victorious. As he caught the first chicken, girls were gushing at how divine he looked. Arthur liked animals, because unlike humans, they didn't talk, so they also never lied. I really respect his prerogative. After he caught 3 chickens, Marie offered to help him, but Arthur declined. His pride as a man was hanging in the balance. He asked Marie to stand back this time and allow him to protect her, and all the girls gushed, watching him act cool. Meanwhile, Noah had gotten some friends to help him. Marie told him that wasn't fair, but it wasn't against the rules either. As he tried approaching 3 chickens, they all flew away. Unlike humans, the chickens could definitely tell he was a twisted psychopath. With no other choice, Noah took out a whip and caught them. Now, it was all down to the last chicken. It quickly ran away as Arthur and Noah were about to catch it, but Noah was able to easily track it. Seeing the situation, Marie felt she needed to do something. If not, Arthur would lose. She got on a tree branch and pointed out where the chicken was for Arthur, but the branch would break, causing her to fall into the water. Arthur abandoned the contest, rushing to save Marie. He took off his jacket and pulled her out of the water. She could feel his hands shaking as he confessed that he needed her. As his tears dropped on her face, Marie opened her eyes, letting him know she was fine. Although Noah caught the last chicken, he claimed Arthur was the real winner because he gave up the fight to save the girl. Thanks to this, Marie was saved. Back at home, Roy scolded Marie for acting so recklessly, but it seemed Arthur was the one who needed maintenance, since he caught a fever. Roy held a toy knife to Marie's throat, telling her that causing Arthur to catch a cold was a serious offense, and the penalty was death. Marie admitted it was a good life while it lasted. If only Noah didn't have dirt on her. Roy wondered how this was possible. He was confident that he had erased all records concerning her. Nevertheless, Arthur's health came first. She was willing to do anything to help him get better, and Roy had something in mind for her. He would show Marie a box, explaining that Arthur and his father usually used this kit to recover when he fell ill. He claimed it cured all ailments. Even Roy had no idea about the contents of the box. Marie then went into Arthur's office, seeing him working while still very weak. She quickly took the laptop away and asked him to go to bed. But Arthur claimed he had student council work and the school's anniversary party to sort, so he couldn't take a break. Since he was chosen for this, it meant other people were passed over. He understood that frustration all too well. It was no different than inheriting the Zates' fortune. Marie then decided it was time to use the recovery kit Roy had shown her. Looking at the contents of the suitcase, she wondered if this would really work. Moments later, she showed up in Arthur's room wearing a cute nurse uniform. Arthur was so stunned, he fell to the ground. Marie didn't get it either, but she figured the uniform had the power to help Zate's men get over colds. She would quickly toss him on the bed and pin him down. Arthur assumed this had to be a dream. He wondered if he could become such a deviant, but thought that maybe Marie was just in nurse mode. He didn't believe he could possibly have such weird fetishes. To check his temperature, Marie touched his forehead with hers. Arthur became so flustered, saying this was such a human way to check one's temperature. So in order not to blow her cover, she explained that she had a thermal sensor in her forehead. Since his fever was high, she asked him to take off his clothes so she could wipe down his sweat. Once Marie saw his body, she had to remind herself she was a robot because Arthur was looking hot to her. Wiping his back, she was shocked to see scars there. Arthur never showed them to anyone, but death walked with him every day. He'd been injured countless times since he was little. The scars on his back ran so deep, and he'd been told they would never go away. Marie hugged him, promising to never let anyone hurt him again and to keep him safe. She wanted to see his weak side, even if he hid it from everyone else. Some assassins slipped in after hearing Arthur was in critical condition. Suddenly, Marie showed up behind them, and they mistook her for a nurse cosplayer. She quickly knocked out the first one with a kick to the head. As the second one rushed to attack, she used the decor by her side to bludgeon his head. A third assassin was climbing up a ladder, as the other two were decoys. But Marie was already there and pushed the ladder off. After that, she apologized to Arthur for all the commotion, though he didn't mind. He was more relieved to know he wasn't alone. Before Marie had come, he hadn't shown his weakness to anyone, so he put up a brave front and faked it, even though he claimed to hate lying more than anything. However, Marie felt she was the real liar here, but her desire to stay with him overpowered her guilt. She wondered what in the world this feeling was. Meanwhile, Maynard nervously entered his basement, searching for Noah while holding a golf club. The assassin showed up behind him, startling Maynard. He always showed up in Maynard's face like this, which is why he brought the golf club in the first place. As Noah tossed Arthur's phone to him, Maynard threw it on the ground and smashed it with the club. The video evidence had been deleted before Noah got to it, and now he felt like he could kill Arthur without regrets. However, Maynard wanted him alive so he could finish off Arthur for himself. The following night, Arthur's school, Kamia High, was celebrating the university of its founding. The party attracted local notables every year, and the guests traditionally came in costumes. Seeing him give the opening remarks, Marie was glad that Arthur had recovered from his cold. After his speech, he handed her a bunch of batteries so she could enjoy the party as well. Noah then approached them in his vampire costume, but they weren't really happy to see him. As he hugged Marie, it got on Arthur's nerves, making him ask everyone for a handy weapon, particularly something with a sharp point. One of the diet members from the garden party came up to Arthur, and they left to talk for a bit. Noah then left to get something to eat. Then, Marie recalled she had to keep a close eye on him. She mistook someone else who was stacking a lot of food on his plate for Noah. The guy told her that Noah had given him the costume, but it wasn't just him. There were a lot of people dressed up as vampires. She'd been tricked. She contacted Roy to pin Arthur's GPS and tell her where he was. Elsewhere, Noah snuck up on Arthur, injecting him with a drug. The man he was following was revealed to be a decoy, and he was doing this all for his family. Still, Arthur managed to attack Noah with a taser, but he was slowly losing consciousness. Noah explained that the drug he used weakened sight and hearing. He was shocked to see Arthur still struggling when most people in his position would grovel and beg for their lives. He proceeded to inject him with a second dose. He planned to use Arthur as bait to lure out Marie. Marie followed Roy's directions until she ended up in an unused room. As she reached for the next door, Noah attacked her from behind, but she managed to dodge in time, leaving only her earphones sliced off. Seeing her unfazed expression, Noah thought she was the most wonderful person he knew. Marie would strike back, disarming him. She had never beaten him before, which was why she retrained herself for this fight. As their fight broke out, Noah felt more eager to team up with her for hit jobs, feeling he would enjoy them more with Marie. But she insisted on remaining Arthur's maid. He'd pin her to the ground, and as he choked her, he told her he needed her, insisting she would be happier with him. Noticing a weakness in his right hand, Marie used it to escape his chokehold. Then she knocked out his lights, but it didn't matter. Noah's eyes adapted to the dark well. He brought out a whip and used it to grab Marie's leg. However, it wasn't actually her, but Marie too instead. The robot cut the whip and immediately punched his lights out. Marie then left Robot Marie to handle things here, while she went on to rescue Arthur. Entering the next room, she saw Arthur was completely out of it, but at least he had no injuries. On her way out of the room, Noah grabbed her, and she noticed he had completely disassembled Marie too. Noah would then taunt her, telling her that Arthur really loved the Robot Marie, and not Marie as the human she was. He advised her to give up on her crush before he found out that she was really human, adding that she was never the one to win the affection of others. Noah reminded her of how people found her creepy, giving her the cold shoulder her whole life. She'd been going through life alone, and he felt she should remain that way, unloved by anyone at all. Arthur would suddenly cover Marie's ears, telling her not to listen. Noah couldn't understand how he was still able to move, and while Arthur could still barely see, his willpower and care for Marie moved him through. Although she was expressionless like a doll, she knew she still had a heart. No matter what anyone said, she would stand by Arthur. After she beat Noah up, Arthur became completely unconscious once more. He was the one who always stood up for her, saved her heart, and showed her so many feelings she had never experienced before. Most of all, he was the person she loved. The next day, Noah was nowhere to be seen in school. The beating Marie gave him would have killed most people, so she believed the school had seen the last of him. Or not. There he was, looking like a wreck in front of her. He had decided to take time off from his assassination business after his recent defeat. He asked if she'd still be able to keep up the act, now that she knew she was in love. Lying to Arthur would eventually take its toll. He told her if she ever needed to escape that lie, to come see him. As Arthur showed up, Noah quickly made the excuse he just took a bad fall at the party. He pretended to care, but Arthur could have sworn he heard Noah's voice when he was unconscious. Noah told him he was just imagining things and walked away. Marie noticed Arthur was quite happy. He told her he had such a happy dream yesterday. He wished it were real. Marie finally managed to give voice to her true feelings, and someday he wanted to do the same. Wow, what an action-packed episode this one was, huh? Subscribe to keep up with future parts, but for now, watch this next video. It's me, ComfyTea, and I'll see you all in the next one.